And good morning. This is our first installment of our 5-minute devotions. We're looking at idol worship this week. We're taking it from the text from the book of Exodus, and we're going to look all week long at how is it that we, as modern, intelligent Americans, would ever worship an idol. Brainless, lifeless rock, stone, or statue. What could possibly ever cause us to do that? Well, that's not really our challenge, is it? Most of us are not tempted to bow a knee to an idol. What we're usually doing is we are bowing our wills to something else. Maybe it's culture, maybe it's clothing, maybe it's entertainment, maybe it's some sports figure, and we're proving our worship of them by the fact of our giving money to them, trying to imitate them, uh, trying to make them such a part of our life that we want to get near them, we want to touch them, we want to shake their hands, we want to get their autograph. We want everything about them to be reflected in our life. We'll wear their t-shirts with their names on it. We'll wear their ball caps. We'll buy all of their memorabilia just so that we can identify with a guy that can throw a ball a long way or sing a song or do something amazing so we can say, oh, I was near this incredible individual. Embarrassingly, we would do this. Because the truth of the matter is, God said in Exodus 20 verse 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. So why in the world would we be this way? You know, an interesting thing is God never tells us how to worship in the Decalogue or the Ten Commandments, but he tells us specifically how not to involve ourselves in idol worship. Why would he do that? I think there's just this understanding and expectation that we are creatures of worship. We're going to adore something. We're going to revere something in our life. And without the Spirit of God directing us, being redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, we're going to worship something that we ought not worship. And sadly, many times after conversion, we're also going to continue to worship wrongly. And so this is a danger as well. When we moved into this house, I had no idea that it had it until we had moved in. We discovered this house had something called a whole house vacuum. How we missed it, I don't know. If you don't know what that is, it's a system of tubes that runs all through the walls to a central vacuuming unit. And you can plug in anywhere in the wall with a hose and vacuum all over the house. That was such a cool thing. And I was telling somebody about it. I said, man, I've never seen anything like this. It's kind of ancient. It was put in the house when it was built in 1986. And so it had a few years service on it. He was like, oh yeah, we had one of those. He said, boy, let me tell you, be careful, because a vacuum doesn't care what is in front of it. It'll pull anything it can into it. And I said, well, yeah, that's what a vacuum does. He goes, well, I hope y'all don't have a hamster. I went, no, you're serious? He goes, yeah. In our house, he said, the hamster got in it. He said, got stuck way up in the tubing, and he said it was really a trick to get that hamster out. So I don't know, he didn't go into all the details, but what he was describing was a machine that had this nature about it to constantly grab anything close to it and draw it into itself. That is a perfect picture of humanity and its desire to worship something. We are like this vacuum. If we don't have God to worship, we're going to pick something to make a center point of our life. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, we usually think of statues and we think of things of this nature, but in the 21st century, our idols don't resemble a relic or a statue. Nothing like that. It may just be simply prestige, reputation, honor, money. It could be anything about ourselves that we think is so amazing. It could be comfort. It could be a myriad of other passions and empty pursuits. So God didn't say, hey, let me tell you what true worship looks like in the Decalogue. He said, hey, when you're worshiping, because you're going to worship, don't worship an idol. Don't worship something false. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Don't bow yourself down to them. So for us in modern America, I guess our introduction to this on idol worship would be, we need to guard ourselves against anything that would come between us and God and become a passion to the point that we would ignore biblical worship. Have a great day.